pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful day and for the coming of the fall and the cooler weather, and we really appreciate that. We thank you for what is before us today in the county and what our employees and our first responders and just everybody that works for the public, what they're looking at these days. And we just ask your blessings on the election. We don't ask you to pick a side, but we just thank you for loving us and for being our God and for watching after us and help us do your will and help us to walk in your way. And just, again, bless our first responders. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We do have a quorum. Excuse me. And we do have a presentation. Tracy, you want to come on up?
Citizens to be heard.
Oh, citizens to be heard first. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Yeah, we do have some. Richard Koroski. Yes, sir. Come on up. And state your name, please.
Richard Karowski.
All right. You understand that we can listen to you, but we can't ask you questions or act on anything. All right, go ahead, sir.
I moved to Rockport, actually Aransas County in 2014. Been coming down here since the early 70s and just fell in love with it and moved it. And so I live out in Coconut Cove. And we first moved there in 2014. There's a couple of areas that were questionable. But after Harvey, especially this one I'm talking about, 260 Allen Parks. Before Harvey, it was okay. It was a little trashy, but it was okay. But after Harvey, it started getting worse and worse and worse. Squatters moved in. I called environmental, I don't know how many, countless times. I called the county countless times. They said, well, give people time because of after Harvey. It's understandable. But here it is, 2020 now. And this place has over 8 or 9, at the last count, junked RVs and trailers on its property. And I'm talking about, some of them don't have walls. None of them have doors, windows. This could be a very, very bad if a child were to get in there. Children that live on that street hurt themselves. I did have pictures. Can you put pictures up? Wendy, you didn't get him calling?
I'm sorry, I was supposed to give them to Colin?
Yeah, because you remember you gave me the wrong email address and you said that you sent them to Colin?
Sir, I've been by there and I'm sure.
Okay.
You didn't get an email that I forwarded to you on Friday.
Can you use a jump drive?
I'm sorry, you're right, I did forward those, but apparently Colin didn't get them. I apologize, I should have
Okay.
checked.
But, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh. And now the ones on the property that was supposed to be seized on or put for auction on Rattlesnake, now somebody came paid the taxes. Now those trailers are being moved over there to 260 Allen Parks. And my understanding is they damaged the road, right? Right, Wendy?
Yeah, please.
Damaged sagebrush?
I have been told that there's a big gouge in the road between Rattlesnake and L&M Parks.
Yes. And it was done by these people moving these trailers, and they're doing it during the day and during it at night. And at night, they burn things at night all the time in burn barrels. We're talking plastic when they stripping the wires, things out of the RVs, and it brings just a stench in the air to the people that live around there. And that property brings animals to the area, snakes, rats, rodents. And, I want to have people over to my house to have, get-togethers. But I can't, because I mean, it's just so embarrassing to look across the street and see this. And my understanding, the owner, if he's still alive, lives in Midland, and he don't care about the property. The last time that it was addressed by him, the county is working on working with him to get it demolished, and that fell through, but it finally went through. But the only thing they cleaned up was that old. So here are the pictures here. The only thing they got demolished was that old house. But all these trailers and everything are still here. And it's, as you can see, some of them don't even have walls on the sides of them. No doors. There's no walls. And if a child was to walk in there, because you know how children are curious. If a child walk in there and hurt themselves or get hurt, nobody even know that they're in there. And like I said, it brings out animals, they have dogs that they don't take care of. The dogs are, when people walk at night, these dogs are chasing people down the road. And frankly, we're just getting tired of looking at this and dealing with this on a day-to-day basis. And something needs to be done to clean this property up.
Richard, can you describe to us what enforcement procedures you've already tried?
Oh, I've been through environmental.
Judge, this is actually down in our presentation down here. It's not citizens to be heard, but do we have any latitude as to ask questions since it's on the agenda?
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and describe the enforcements that you've tried
Oh,
already.
I've called environmental, and environmentals, there's no septic on there, but environmental, they've been out there, they don't see any signs of where they're dumping their, their sewage. I'm like, okay, these trailers cannot be moved. I mean, they're dilapidated. The ones they live in are dilapidated. They can't be moved. So where are they putting their sewage?
Richard, are any of those being lived in now?
One is where the squatter is living, yes.
Do they have electricity?
No, I think they're running generators.
Okay.
And like I said, they're burning trash all hours of the day and night. And actually, let me correct that, not day and night, at night when environmental can't come out there. I've called the county sheriff, back even when there's a burn ban, I've called the county sheriff about them burning. And the sheriff's department said, well, they're burning in barrels, so that's illegal. I said, no, it's not. You cannot. And I've called environmental, talked to environmental. Environmental said that in a burn ban, you cannot burn trash in barrels. But I've called the sheriff's department out there many times. They came out and said nothing could be done.
You're saying that the owner is no longer on the property. He's moved to West Texas.
Correct. He lives around the Midland area.
Has he leased this property?
No, it's a squatter that lives there.
Okay, fair enough. Well, there's plenty of anti-litter laws on the state books.
Yes.
And so my suggestion would be, let's go back to Mrs. Gonzalez and have her go out there.
I'm sorry?
We're going to go back to the environmental health person.
She has informed me that she has filed against the owner and has talked to the people that are doing all this moving, and they've agreed to bring the trailers to the transfer station instead of there. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, it started up after Harvey, maybe 1 or 2 trailers, and it got up to 5 or 6.
Well, I'm talking about within the last couple of weeks.
Right. Well, the last couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they started moving some out, which was a good sign. And then all of a sudden, more started being moved back in.
Okay.
These properties, this is one of many that's showing a similar pattern. Over the years, we've often brought enforcement procedures. Sometimes they even go all the way to trial, and sometimes we get a judgment. Then we get a fine that we can't collect. It generally gets turned into some kind of community service. We're not finding an effective way to get the attention of either squatters or owners, because all of the penalties that we've so far imposed are just bouncing off. They're not having any effect.
Right. And then my next door neighbor who keeps his property as clean as mine, he owns, across the street from him, owns 2 lots. And he started, when the burn ban was on, he started building up a wood pile of just wood that he's cut down trees and things like that. And did a wood pile on his property that's across the street where nobody lives. And environmental is going to fine him $800 for that wood pile. And I went out there, I was like, really? You got these people that live there and also the ones that live across the street from me. And as a matter of fact, the ones that live across the street from me, they just brought in another old trailer yesterday on their property. I mean, this is, and I'm the ones across the street from me, 233. I don't know how many times I've called environment on them and in the county, and I've spoke to y'all about them before. These people, they just don't care. It's just old dilapidated trailers after old dilapidated trailers. And as I said, if a child was getting one of those trailers and hurt or get killed, who knows how long it'd take them to find them in an abandoned trailer that's has no doors, has no walls, has no windows. I mean, it's a safety hazard.
Well, as I mentioned, state laws against even littering one's own property. The
Sure.
problem that we have is that we have to follow the law in order, because every landowner has the same rights.
Sure.
And according to the judge, our environmental health is now moving forward on it. Yes.
Again, but we've tried this before and it's not getting us anywhere. We need something new.
Yeah, because they get fined and fined and fined. They don't have any money. They don't pay their fines, and then they do the community service, and it starts all over again. And it's happened so many times with these people, especially the ones that live across the street from me. I mean, I don't know how many times I've hit environment out there, and they get fined, and then he gets arrested. They pay the restitution, and then it starts all over again. There's no accountability.
Why is he doing this? Is he just scavenging or?
Yes, that's what they're doing. They're taking these trailers to this property and they're stripping them. That's why some have no walls, some have no doors, some have no windows. They're stripping the trailers, and that's what they're doing. At night, they're burning when they strip the wires, they're burning all the insulations. They're burning all the plastic cover the wires, and it puts a stench all throughout the neighborhood.
And I don't know if it's whether the environmental health, whether Valerie doesn't have the tools that she needs, or we need to give her more tools, or we need to give her more explicit direction, but we need something new, because what's been tried for the last 3 years isn't having any effect. We're going to have to try something new, give Valerie more tools or stronger prosecution powers or a different strategy altogether. This just is not working.
I don't think the current law, I think the issue is the current laws.
Yeah, I think we have to.
For
go to
years, they've
legislature.
needed to do something to stiffen up because a lot of the people that are doing it have kind of learned the system, and it's like they come in,
Exactly.
they pay something and they start all over again. It's going
It does. It just,
all over the county, not just there.
right. It starts all over again. And
Well, one of the problems that we have with environmental is that they go out and they cite them, they come in and pay the fee, and then the process has to start all over again.
right.
You know, we have to notify them and everything, and it's just,
But even though they pay the fee, they never get it corrected. So, I mean, what's good of finding them if they just pay a fee, but nothing gets
And that's
fixed?
if they pay a fee, because often it just gets converted to a community service.
Right. Yeah.
the legislature needs to give counties tools in which to deal with that. But right now, being an arm of the state, we can only do what the state allows us.
I don't think we're looking at a situation where the state doesn't allow us to take effective action.
Right. I mean,
I'm ready for the effective action. Tell me what it is, Wendy.
well, can't y'all do an abatement on the properties? Can't that be done?
We can't. That's part of the problem. Let me tell you what, I've gone through this before,
Yes, sir.
10, 12 years ago. We actually went after some folks. We got the county attorney to file suit on them. They requested a day in court and small claims court. It cost us about $2,500, and the maximum fine that we found the first time around was $200. The second time, if they don't take care of it, then you can put them in jail for up to 6 months. But some people don't mind that, but this guy that owns the property, according to you, is living out in West Texas. So we'd have to go out there, serve him out there and bring him in here. Then we might be able to get some action. It's an arduous process is what I'm telling you.
I understand
I
that.
feel for you because I don't like the laws either.
Mhm.
But I will tell you this. I sat there the day that we went to court with this one gentleman, and we went through 60 people to seat a jury of 6, the small claims court. Over half the people that we questioned, they didn't agree with the state law. They said, hey, you ought to be able to do whatever you want to on your own property. That's part of the issue right there.
After 3 years, if we're still only going after the squatters and not going after the owners, we need to look into ways to go after the owner, even if that means serving somebody in Midland. That can still be done.
I mean, something has to be done because it's just not only an eyesore, but like I said, it's a hazard. It's a danger.
Okay, sir. Your 15 minutes is up, but.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Griffiths can. step
Thank you very
up now.
much.
Yeah, so I did put together a presentation. Is the mic on? Okay.
State your name first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Debbie Griffith. I live in Coconut Cove also. And if you could, well, first I want to read the statement that I.
Debbie, try to keep your mouth pretty close to the microphone. We can hear you fine, but people at home will have a hard time if you don't.
Oh, okay.
And when you turn away to look at the screen, be careful. Keep close to the mic.
Thank you. Okay, so this is my inside voice. What I really want to use is my outside voice that yells and curses because of the frustration and anger I feel about this property. And one similar to it, like on Rattlesnake Road. They are literally littered throughout Copano Cove. And what do I mean by Copano Cove? Because I know it can be a little confusing. I think for Richard's purpose, maybe in mine, it is the area bordered by Rattlesnake Road and to the north and Old Salt Lake Road. Okay, so it's landlocked. The other side of it is Salt Lake and parts of Copano Bay out by where Redfish Lodge used to be. I'm sure because of it so close to the water, it's worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's easy access and proximity to the city, to the bypass, FM 3036, 2351, 1781, 1069, and Highway 35. So it's a really good location. And it's going to be even far more valuable as Rockport grows, based on what the estimates are said to be. I know of at least 2 subdivisions that are going in Copano Cove, and one's on the water, one is near, not too far away, where they're going to have nice homes, acre lots. I remember when the first RV pulled into that property because I saw it. And I saw it trying to navigate onto the land. And at the time, the land was owned by that gentleman. It was a falling down building set far back on the 2-acre lot. I remember talking to Tony Hall. He managed what was called Camp Hope that came there by Disaster America, I think, after the hurricane. I asked him about it. He says, oh, they said they're coming to help. They never came to help. Over time, before Tony left, he said that, and they started bringing in all these RVs. Supposedly, one of them was the daughter of the landowner, whose name is Kenneth Green, who lives in Midland. And he said that these people were meth heads. There was more people out there back then, okay? So I remember this happening. It was shortly after Harvey. In 2018, I started contacting Valerie about it because there was at least 7 RVs. And not only do they not really have doors, walls, etc., they are non-functioning RVs. They're dragged down the road. I've seen it because they drag them down East Sagebrush. I'm on Bufflehead. I can see anything coming down that street, and I can hear it too. Fast forward to August 2019 when they had an arraignment with the property owner, Kenneth Green. I went to court so I could be there and understand the process. He was a no-show. I talked to the judge that was there afterwards a little bit about it to try to understand the process because I really like to understand what's going on so I can do my part and hold those accountable. What's really frustrating is that as much as I've talked to Valerie, I've talked to Jim, it is a slow process, like y'all have admitted, but I think that there's been people that are a little bit derelict in making sure that the process is followed and it's on top. So when this happens and he hadn't paid his fine, then this happens. And when this happens, then when something happens again. Instead, I think that languishes. And I think that environmental wants to do more with it, but their hands are tied due to lack of staff and due to the legal proceedings. And a lot of times I think it's due to the legal proceedings and their hands are tied. And I honestly believe that there's delays, unnecessary delays. If someone was vigilant about following the process, this guy is in abuse of it. There's squatters, just like there are on Rattlesnake Road, where 5 or 6 decrepit RVs were dropped. I think people paid money to get their RV moved, and they said, oh, well, I'm just going to go dump it here. It'll cost me $30, and I got $500 in return. So I live equivalent of about 1 block from the property. You may not know that in Copano Cove, there's a small little subdivision called Lahaina by the Bay, and it's 29 properties, about 1.5 blocks. And we have nice homes. We love our community. We're on the canal. Just those 29 lots, which right now makes up 20 homes, the taxable value is about $4.5 million on that 1.5 blocks. 3 homes are in progress, and there'll be 1 lot left that can be built on. And when that happens, these 3 homes that are in process, the value just of that section, those 3.5, is going to be over $5.5 million. Okay, so we're paying our taxes, and there's property out there that's worth a lot, and it's going to be worth more. In fact, when I looked up, can you, sir, go to the PowerPoint and just maybe start on page 2? The next one? There, right there. That one too, that's fine. But go back one. Just those streets in red. Okay, and there's an arrow, you see a little arrow pointing up, that's the property. And just the ones encompassed in red. Appraisal value per the district is about $13 million just for that little bit. And we've got that piece of trash right there with squatters that have been there. So what are my, so it affects, and I don't know that, is that Bronson? Anyway, there's a gentleman named Bronson Hamilton. He and his wife, they look out, they've been calling environmental for years. They've called the sheriff's department. I personally saw burning trash in a barrel when there was no burn ban, and called, I think his name was Charlie something. He came out, he lives in the area, and spoke to her. I've seen her burning trash, been personally attacked by 3 vicious dogs when walking my dog. There's a nice little home. I think somebody got it after Harvey that has a child in it that's across the street. They've seen snakes. They've seen rats. They've seen people arguing and yelling. And honestly, I don't know what it's going to take. I have read the ordinances, and so I do have some comments about that. But let me just finish some of what I'm saying here. So how's the county supposed to grow to 50,000 people within 10 to 20 years? Where are they going to go? They probably will come to Copano Cove. We've got water access, but we also have torn up roads, and we have squatters that nothing is done about. I understand and appreciate a legal process, but I think there's lots of delays that are unnecessary and that things fall through the crack. And I'd like to say that it continues to be a blight on the community. The vagrants are breaking county ordinances. They're breaking Texas Transportation Code. They're breaking Texas Health and Safety Code. And all of that is wrapped into our county's abatement of public nuisance ordinance. And the one on record that I found is as of December 13th, 1999. It's a shame, and I think it's a disregard for even Texas code. And so maybe this doesn't matter a lot to the county. Maybe there's other priorities, but I tell you, it's valuable property out there. We pay our taxes. We're near Pearl Point. We're very near a very large subdivision going in across from Pearl Point. And I just wonder, where else do we turn? Do we have to turn to the state? Do we have to turn to our senators? And I'm not the type to railroad over people and be nasty and mean, but if something can't be done, I feel like I have to go further. Can you go a couple more, please? So this is where it shows this area is landlocked by Salt Lake and Copano Bay. It's a great area, and there's some really nice homes out there. Next one, please. Okay, you can flip. We've already seen some of those nasty ones. But as Road and Bridges knows, they have torn up the road by dragging, with no wheels, no rubber on their tires, dragging them down the roads. And they tell you, and I've talked to Valerie about this, they say, oh, well, they're going to do this. Oh, well, they're going to do that. They don't do it. And then no one is like right there at the end of that time frame. I don't know whether it's the attorney's office, whether it's environmental. No one is right there to say, we've had bad experience, let's hold them accountable, and the next day move forward with the process. And that's what's real frustrating to me. And so I went out to the website, And I don't necessarily want to read it to you, but I do have, I'm sorry. I can read it right here. This is on our Facebook page. The environmental health staff works in partnership with the residents of Aransas County to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and preserve the beauty of Aransas County through the enforcement of the abatement of public nuisance ordinance, which is based on Texas code. It's the transportation code, it's the health and safety code, and I think there's one more. And it says local taxpayers pay the cost of cleaning dump sites on public lands. This is private land too. And then it says to report illegal dumping or information, call code enforcement. So you can keep going. So, and I'm sure y'all probably are aware of what you have out there, but this is where the Commissioner's Court in 99, and it says we're adopting section 343 through 343.023 of the Texas Health and Safety Code. My questions are, were the abatement centers procedures followed in a timely manner? Was an assessment of the cost lien pursued? If so, when? These are all positions that allow you to move forward with this. I assume code enforcement has inspected and entered the property. Then there's another one here. I say, has the attorney pursued charges for illegal dumping under 365.012 as a Class A misdemeanor? And it says right there, district attorney, a county attorney, attorney general, civil suit for the injunction to prevent or restrain a violation of this subchapter. Has the attorney brought a civil suit for an injunction against the squatters even, let alone the landowner, who wasn't even, he was supposed to have Good Samaritans tear down the house, and then he didn't allow it. I've been on top of this with Valerie for a long time. Then we have section under the Texas Transportation Code, which we have adopted. Authority to take abandoned motor vehicles into custody. Have we attempted to take the RVs and vehicles as permitted? There were a couple of, things, an old Suburban appears out of nowhere. It was driven there, okay? They are taking piece by piece, RVs apart, selling them to somebody. There's got to be an underground network somewhere, because I don't know how these people know, let's move this crap off a rattlesnake, and somebody went in and bought the property before it went on sheriff's sale or paid the taxes on it, and they're going to circumvent the process. Moved over to this. So there's an underground network somewhere that involves all this, but it goes into all the definition of a salvage yard, junkyard, recycling business. They've got a business going on underground somehow where they're selling this stuff. Where are we with our attorney's office in going after them according to the law or the code that we have available to us? Wrecked vehicle, okay? The location. Okay, and it talks about what the location is and violation. Effective or local ordinance, a person who operates a junkyard or wrecking or salvage yard shall comply with applicable ordinance. There's a penalty. A person commits an offense if they violate it. What has the county done with regard to these ordinances, particularly relating to a junkyard and a salvage yard? What sections within this ordinance have been pursued or haven't been pursued, and why? I want to also read real quickly something from another. She lives across the street and down one. She's right at the corner of Flounder and Allen M. Park, okay? She wasn't able to make it today. She says, let me put it up here.
What's your name?
Her name is Vicki Barnes, and her husband and her family lives with her. She said she couldn't make it today, even get on Zoom because the coworker is out. She says, if you can read this, that would be great. We're the Barneses at 102 Flounder Drive. We have a direct line of view of the property being discussed. Since Harvey, we, along with most of our neighbors, including Bronson, Hamilton, and others that are on Pompano and Speckled Trout, I know Bronson's been real involved in this, have been working really hard to improve and fix our home. The people staying at this property continually drag in the worst looking trailers and RVs and let them sit for months on end while they're being stripped. Not only have they torn up the roads leading to it, but the property itself looks worse and worse. From what I understand, and I know this too, there's no electricity, there's no septic. I worry about that and what they're doing with their waste. There are often fires, they emit the odor of chemicals or burning plastic. With no water, what happens when or if these fires get out of control? I understand the fact we live in the county and have relaxed regulations, but this place is truly bringing down the value of our neighborhood and is a safety hazard. We've worked too long and hard for recovery for these people to be able to keep trashing the place with no attempts of progress. She had verbally mentioned some things to me, so I said, hey, can you put that in writing? She says, we have heard gunshots on multiple occasions. There's frequent yelling and screaming from a female. She's been the one person that's been a continuous thread there. She's homeless. She has family in the state. I talked to her once because I saw a broken down trailer sitting on Old Salt Lake, and she was there tearing it apart as it sat off the side of the road. And I feel for her. Her name's Donna. And she said, not recently, but in the past, there have been random vehicles that come and go. There's been highly suspect, and this is me now, drug activity that goes on. I know that there was another man pre-COVID living there with her, and I asked and mentioned him, and she said, oh, he went and joined the circus. Okay, he's getting disability, he's getting stimulus checks, but he left her, gave her $200, and he went to join the circus, all while getting.
Across the street from me now.
You're kidding.
No, yeah.
You're kidding.
No.
Okay, so anyway, I guess, oh, and then I also want to follow up with some people I know. I didn't get to talk with them, but they have 3 very nice houses on Perch Lane, right as Salt Lake goes out into Copano Bay. They have them as rentals, and it affects their rentals because they have to tell people, kind of what to expect. You go by Rattlesnake, where those trailers have been sitting. I saw one of them pull in, and he lied to Jim and said, oh, well, I'm bringing it. That thing was falling apart. It stayed there. It's the one that's cattywampus. I had another picture of it in there somewhere. You don't need to go there.
Ms. Griffith, you're 15 minutes.
Okay,
Good.
well,
And
I guess
believe
my
me,
point is, we need to move forward.
Yeah, you brought it to our attention, and I
Okay.
will look into it
Thank
more
you.
thoroughly. Sorry. Melissa Brown? I went a little crazy and went to presentations. I didn't realize. Anyway, we're back in comments to be heard, and Melissa Brown is what I'm calling on. Melissa.
Melissa Brown. I just would like to join in this community, this court meeting just to see what it's like here in this community. I've been here for 30 years and I've never been to one. So if you wouldn't mind having me, I would be glad to join. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Kane, come on up.
Good morning, Judge. Thank you.
Morning.
I'm going to lift it up a little bit. I came to the County Commissioners.
Your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Andrew Kane, 2106 Lakeview Drive. I'm here this morning to try to get a little more information on a couple of the bond issues. I'm hoping that, obviously I'll have to leave after this to get to work, but I'm hoping y'all can share some more information to us before we start our voting tomorrow. One of them was the micro hospital Proposition C. I've looked at the website and I haven't found anything on the website about a floor plan, where it's going to be, what kind of services are going to be offered, or what the plan is, just a basic plan. I know we just recently got a grant in the last week or two, and I was curious if there's a time frame on that grant for us to get all this information together and get a plan together and present it back to the voters. So basically, I'm just looking for any information at all about a micro hospital besides the word micro hospital. The other thing I was looking for information on is on Proposition A. I've gotten a lot of mailers from a PAC, and they say that voting no in November is going to cost us, we're going to lose $10 million. And I was hoping if I can get an explanation from the court on if that's true or not, because I understand the majority of that $10 million is insurance money. So my question is going to be, is that in fact true that we're going to lose $10 million if we vote no in November? And if so, what is the timeline that we have to act on the couple million part of the grant? And what is the timeline that we have to act on the insurance proceeds? Because I find it hard to believe that we would lose our insurance proceeds immediately for not acting. That's it. Just looking for some more information on the micro hospital and if that statement's true and what the timelines are to act on these.
Okay, Mr. Kane, I'll try to get that to you.
Okay. All right. Well, it's more for the public too. So.
We'll
Okay.
put it
All
out.
right. And I do apologize. I'm glad y'all do this on YouTube so I can watch
Okay.
the rest of it later. Have a good birthday.
And I believe the other would like to talk when the items come up. Is that right? Gina? I think she's probably on. All right, and Pat, you want to speak when it comes up, right?
On certain items, not right now, thank you.
Okay, that's what I meant. All right, back to presentation, item number 1, presentation and proclamation of P 08-2020 proclamation 2021 as the year 150 year, and somebody else can pronounce that word, of Aransas County. Pam and Betty and Tracy, come on up.
Chris.
Thank you so much. This is really a happier occasion, I believe, for the county to hear about the sesquicentennial celebration coming up. I represent the Friends of the History Center, Pam Stranahan, and with us today are the other organizations in the county that do a lot of the history work. Ty and Debbie are here for the Historical Society, and who have we got? Betty, and here is here for the commission, the County Historical Commission, along with Pat Russo. So thank you for hearing us today.
Commissioners, Judge, this is Proclamation P 08-2020. Whereas the County of Aransas was formed in 1871 from portions of Refugio County and was named after Rio Nuestra Senora de Aranzazu, a Spanish outpost in early Texas, and the 150-year sesquicentennial anniversary of the establishment of Aransas County will take place in 2021. And whereas Aransas County values its rich history and the Aransas County Historical Commission, Aransas County Historical Society, and the Friends of the History Center of Aransas County strive to preserve that rich history through historical markers, captivating exhibits that include important artifacts and documents, various photo projects, including calendars and courthouse wall exhibits, books, educational programs, special events, and tours of historic homes. And whereas Aransas County is steeped in educational opportunities for learning more of its history by exploring venues such as local cemeteries, sites that include the Fulton Mansion, Fulton Schoolhouse Museum, the Texas Maritime Museum, the Rockport Center for the Arts, and the History Center, where docents await visitors to answer questions, and by visiting the historical markers throughout the county currently shown on the Aransas Pathways maps. And whereas Aransas County plans to hold many special events in June of 2021 in celebration of its sesquicentennial. Now, therefore, we, the Aransas County Commissioners Court, do hereby proclaim the year 2021 as 150-year sesquicentennial of Aransas County, and encourage our citizens to celebrate, participate, and enjoy all the planned events and festivities that will take place beginning June 12th, 2021, and continuing through June 20th, 2021. Thank you.
And thank you for all your hard work. And wow, 150 years went by pretty quick. I'm looking forward to the celebration. All right, under consent items, we have 2.
Make a motion to approve the consent items, Judge.
Motion made.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove third quarter 2020 report from Rockport Center for the Arts. Come on up. Louise couldn't make it today, so she's going to fill in.
I'm not quite a look-alike. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm Karen Ernst. I'm the Education Director at Rockport Center for the Arts, filling in for Louise today.
Karen,
I know
what's your last
time
name?
is short.
What's your last
Ernst.
name?
Ernst. E-R-N-S-T.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm here today to report on our third quarter. This is, well, can you advance the slide, please? Okay, so this will be our visitation records. For our third quarter, the top line in orange there, you can see our quarterly total is 2,571 visitors. Down to the second section, the visitor data distribution. Of that attendance, outside of 75 miles, was about 3/4 of all of our attendance. For July, we had 76% from outside of 75 miles. For August, 71%. And for September, 68%. And just to put this in perspective, we'll see it in a later slide, but pre-Harvey 2017, July was 83% out of county and August was 85%. So we're starting to approach pre-Harvey percentages for our tourism traffic to the Art Center. Just to break down where those visitors are coming from, in the large yellow section, you can see the greater than 75 miles broken out by major metro. In July, San Antonio was our biggest market. In August, Houston was our biggest market. And in September, San Antonio, again, was our largest market. The total major metro traffic out of that 75% is 52% for July, 50% for August, and 49% for September. So major metro comprising the vast majority there. In the bottom section, the blue, we just want to highlight, if you look at the third line down, Victoria, we are starting to invest advertising money in Victoria. So you can see it jump from 0.8% in August to 2.9% in September. So we're starting to see some results from our advertising initiatives in Victoria. Next slide, please. This is just a comparison of 2020 versus 2019. We already went over where our major metro traffic is coming from in 2020. To compare that, in the blue is 2019. In July, San Antonio was also the largest market. In August, it was Austin, not Houston, although it was very close for that month last year. And then back to San Antonio. This is our consistent trend. We're seeing our greatest market from San Antonio. Next slide, it'll take us back one more year to 18. Next slide. And this takes us back to our pre-Harvey. If you look at the metro at 52% right now, higher percentage than we have, 46% for August. So lots of detail on there, but we are doing pretty good rebounding. Next slide, please, Colin. This is just a graphic representation of our total attendance for third quarter by year. You can see the first on the left, there's 2017. We almost came back to that level last year in 2019, and then the impact of COVID here markedly down. Okay, next slide. This is just another graphic representation of the major metro. Blue is Austin, orange is Dallas, gray is Houston, and yellow is San Antonio. So you can see here, San Antonio is definitely our major market. Continuing through there, Houston and Austin are starting to compete for second place on our major metro attendance. Okay, next slide. So some of the activities we're doing that draw the tourism, we're trying to do. Next slide. We tried very, very hard to have art festival this summer. About 2 weeks out, we did have to make the difficult decision to cancel. That's my baby event. I missed having that this year. Next slide, please. You can see in a typical year, you can't quite see the 2020 where it's canceled, but if you look at that top line item, total attendance, the art festival typically draws 9,000 to 10,000 visitors over that weekend. So that was a major loss to our attendance. Down on the orange line, you can see major metro is about 36%. And the very bottom line, over half of our attendance at art festival is tourism outside of 75 miles. We'll be back next year. Next slide. We are hosting the annual film festival November 12th to 15th. This was going to be over in the new theater in Aransas Pass. We will have social distancing in the theater. Tickets are on sale now, and Elena, I believe, is releasing the film selection starting today. So on our website, you can come and view the trailers for the movies that will be shown. It'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday film blocks. Next slide. And just a quick glance through some of our programming. Next slide. This summer we had 3 exhibits. July featured our annual poster artist exhibit, Virginia Vaughn. She's been a longtime member of the Art Center and had a beautiful exhibition. And we do have posters. We were planning to sell the Art Fest poster at the festival. And so we did produce a poster as is our tradition. So those are on sale at the Art Center if anybody would like to get one of those collectible editions. Next slide. In August, we featured our Standing Out. This is an exhibit that features artists selected in the prior year in the all-member show that happens at Christmas time. We had 6 artists: Janice Bartka Thompson, Catherine Verba, Crystal Ferris, Flint Reed, David Hill, and Jane Duryea. So that was our August exhibit featuring some of our best artists selected by juror and by popular vote. Next slide. We're in the last week of this Sacred American X exhibit featuring 2 artists, Emmerich Garza and Alejandro Marcias. This show has really attracted a lot of statewide attention, including Texas Highway Magazine and Glass Tire. It's up the rest of this week. It's a very worthwhile exhibit. It's also programmed intentionally during National Hispanic Heritage Month. Next slide. Okay, our education program. Next slide. I'm very proud we were able to host in-person art camp this summer. We were one of the few institutions that tried really hard to offer an in-person experience. You can see there's a lot of data on this slide, but our total participation this year, we had 220 kids come through in person. Last year was 355, so we were noticeably down, but we still served 220 children. We normally have 8 camps over 4 weeks, but to encourage social distancing this year, we had 18 camps over 6 weeks. So we ran 3 camps a day. It was a very stressful 6 weeks, but we were very happy to get to serve those children. And I've never seen more grateful families to have something to take their children to. So that was a great pleasure this summer. Next slide. And one more. Okay, and lastly is just the expenditure spreadsheet. Of course, with events being down, our advertising dollars have been shifted around. And a lot of this is just a timing issue on when the dollars were received and when the advertising dollars get spent. The exhibitions is where we've been pouring a lot of our emphasis in because those are still happening. And of course, the art festival, we were not able to hold in the end. Any questions? I think that should be the last slide. Yes.
Any questions?
Good job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Thank
you. Move to
Day and time is tough.
I make
you.
a motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Approve, disapprove third quarter 2020 report from Maritime Museum. Well, I looked at it. It looks as good as it should at this time of the year and because of what's going on. So there's not any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Judge, it wasn't in my packet.
It wasn't?
I didn't get one.
Yes, ma'am.
Pat Rousseau, Commissioner-elect for Precinct 3. I just wanted to report that I'm working with Justin Parkoff on another activity for the leadership of Aransas County Chamber of Commerce. And I was talking with him over the weekend about this report. He believed that his report was due in 2 weeks on the 26th, and he will have it and be prepared.
Okay.
He was very surprised to know he was on the agenda for
He
today.
and I did talk about it, but
Okay.
I thought he was coming today. So, all right.
Move to
table.
Motion to table, second.
I'll second
Those
it.
in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove third quarter 2020 report of Historical Commission. Ms. Stiles?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Due to COVID, we were slow this year, mainly because the foundry was shut down, also for markers, and also just the way everything has been. So I'll present to you what we have spent so far of our $10,000 and what is projected to be spent by the end of the year. So if you have any questions on any of that, I'll be happy to answer.
Any question for Ms. Stiles?
I got a quick question.
All right.
Sure.
You've already spent $9,800 of it?
No, we have not. If you've got a number beside it, that's the check number. This is a projected. The check numbers are the ones that have already been paid. Commissioner Smith, under the date, you got date and then next to it numbers. Those checks have already been issued. So if there's not a check that's projected.
So between what you've already issued and what you're projecting to do, you would come in at $9,815.
Yes, sir.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Motion to approve, yeah.
Motion made.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Castleline. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove order 021-2020, the petition of Homer Hernandez to close, abandon, and vacate a 100-foot roadway called Hood Street, Manning Addition, Aransas County, recorded in volume 1, page 7 of the plat records of Aransas County, and described by the meets and bounds of Exhibit A and B attached to this petition.
I would like to move to table this. Normally, it's customary that they bring it to us for a preliminary, and there are several issues in this, one of them being that we have some of the property that abuts is one of those locations that has a lot of trash and stuff, and we actually have a tax foreclosure suit in process on it right now. There's also appears to be the possibility that one of the blocks would need to have the lots replatted because closing this would cut off access to some of the lots. So I would move to table this.
Motion made.
I would second that as well.
Second.
It looks like there's almost, 7 or 8 lots that wouldn't have any access if that street were closed. I'd like to be able to ask the questions on that, so I would.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove final plat of Copano Shores condominium development on Loop 1781. Kat, are you here?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Kat? Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
we can. Okay. This is a condominium development on Loop 1781. All of the utility plans have been approved. The drainage plans have been approved. And the accompanying property document, the condominium declaration, has been reviewed. So if there's any questions, everything seems to be in order. But if there's any questions, be happy to address them.
I have no question. Judge, make a motion to approve the final plat.
Motion made.
I'll second it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Judge Mills?
Yes, I was gonna.
Okay.
Go ahead. Come on up. I should have done it before we voted. I'm sorry.
I was waiting until you'd had the motion and the second, but you went so fast.
Yeah.
I just am curious about the condominium development. No opposition to it necessarily. It's on Copano Shores, and I wonder what the nearest intersection might be, and then what is the projected size or population for which the condominiums will provide residents?
The property is is on. Go ahead, Kat. Describe where it is. We got a map in our packet.
It is right on. It's on Loop 1781, right when you pass the intersection where Copano Ridge meets with 1781, and it will be adjacent to the condominium development that you see if you drive down 1781 and pass that intersection. There will be 10 units. But we do not have any building plans to know anything further about what those units, how big the units will be, or how much floor space. But it will be 10 condominium units. They have sewers, so they do have more options for capacity. So we have not received building plans yet, though.
Ms. Russo, Mr. Smith says he'd be glad to give you this packet if you'd like.
All right, after court then?
You can pick it up right now.
Okay, thank you.
So this is actually just a replat of the property itself, not the condo project.
Final plat.
Correct. It is our subdivision order just
Secondly.
requires that we treat it like a plat.
Okay.
All right, the motion was made and seconded and approved, so we'll continue on to item number 10, discuss,
Vote.
approve, disapprove, order 020-2020, a supplemental order approving the early voting location dates and times and election days, voting locations, and amending the voting by mail information for Aransas County for the special bond election to be held November 3rd.
Judge Mills, we kind of stopped in the middle of the vote.
We
No,
got
we
a
voted.
motion and a second.
we vote?
Did not have a vote. On
We
nine.
voted, right?
Well, anyway, I was about to say aye and I stopped because we stopped for Ms. Rousseau. But also, did Pat Rousseau just receive the entire packet for the meetings? That mean that whole thing is public now?
Yes.
Okay, so everything from today's meeting is now okay to go out to the public?
On that,
No, just on that item?
just on that item.
That's only the item? Okay.
Yes.
That was the one she had questions about.
So are we going to revote to make sure that everybody had a chance to vote?
All right, let's have a revote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So we're still on item 10 that I just read.
For the amended voting by mail, what are those amendments?
Where is, okay, here's our.
Come on up, Kevin.
I guess I'll go ahead and discuss this. This really wasn't my item because it does specifically relate to the bond, and there are already a staff of attorneys working on that. But it is changing the early voting clerk from Michelle to myself.
It says amending voting by mail information. for
That's the early voting clerk. The early voting clerk is who those voters would submit their applications for ballot by mail to.
So number 10 is a process rather than, I mean, it's a necessary procedure.
Yes.
So the
Change.
public won't do anything different. It's just coming to a different person to process. All right.
The address for the location to be sent to was still the same. It's just going to be a different person. Also, that same order is adding in a second early voting location. We have had an overwhelming response for this election, and I do believe it is necessary to open up a second early voting site.
And where would that be?
The Fulton Fire Department.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion made.
Are you making a motion on 10 or 11?
On number 10?
10?
Second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. I think. Discuss, approve, disapprove amending order of election of the November 3rd election to include addition of early voting polling, which is Fulton. Motion made.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing county judge to witness approved amended contract for election services between Aransas County Election Administrator and the City of Rockport for the joint election to be held November 3rd. Originally approved Commissioners Court, January 27th, 2020. Of the Texas Election Code authorizes the county clerk elections officer to contract for election services. Further election services contracts need not be submitted to the Commissioners Court for approval. Motion made,
I'll second it.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye. There is one error in that thing is the county election officer to contact, or it should be contract.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Court.
Discuss, approve, disapprove authorizing county judge to sign a lease agreement with Jerome Krusky, long-term land lease at the airport property for land upon which exists a box hangar to be for his purchasing from current land lease tenant, the Grand Laureate Corporation.
Judge, I think I understand what that means in his purchasing from the current. Is this one of the hangars that that individuals own the hangar and it's set on
Yes.
county property? Okay,
It's transferring the lease.
Yes.
right.
I assume it's at the same terms.
Right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made,
Yes.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing county judge to sign a lease termination letter to Grand Laureate Corporation for existing land lease.
Move to approve.
Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing county judge to sign a contract with Tetra Tech for preparation of Phase 2 benefit cost analysis of Little Bay restoration. This project to be funded by FEMA 404 hazardous mitigation. Have a motion.
Judge,
Second.
what is the phase 2?
Wait a minute, motion and a second.
Oh, I make a motion to approve.
Motion made,
Second.
second.
Okay, what is involved in phase 2?
That would be the construction phase.
Oh, okay.
And what we're doing is putting together our deliverables to TDM and FEMA. So we have budget plans and a revised BCA, benefit cost analysis.
Thank you.
Mr. Russo.
Memorandum of understanding with the MAD district, we still are in charge of.
Our MOU goes to the duration of phase 1. So when we do our deliverables, that's the end of the MOU at this point. We have to do a new one.
Mr. Russo, you had a question?
Thank you, Judge. I know in the last few grant applications that have been made for projects, there have been questions about the development or the processing. And I'm just curious, we are signing a contract with Tetra Tech, and I understand that they're one of the contractors that TDM has approved, and we're fine with that, to prepare the cost of the benefit cost analysis for this one project. When they prepare that benefit cost analysis, could we just hear a little bit about that process, like how the community is involved in determining the benefit cost analysis? That's my question.
Come on up, John.
The benefit cost analysis is a very detailed, this package will be over 600 pages long. And basically what you're doing is you're taking your risk and you're weighing your risk, which would be your properties, things like that. In Little Bay's case, you have all the commercial properties around Highway 35. You have Key Allegro, and you look at their values versus what you're doing is they're spending $1.01. So they go through this very, very, very detailed program to evaluate the loss versus the expense. And that's how this BCA gets put together.
Part of the process on the grant, having to go through this cost benefit analysis.
We do it twice.
Federal rules, right?
Right. We did it for the application, and then we do it again for when we submit our deliverables.
This was an issue that came up with the southern half of the Fulton Beach Road project. The public, when they heard an announcement of what the project would look like, tended to hear that things had to be done a certain way because that's how the benefit cost analysis was the result that it yielded. I think Ms. Rousseau probably is trying to find out how will the public become involved before things get set in stone and we're told that nothing can be changed now because that's how the BCA yielded a result.
The BCA is part of that, and I handed out a package to everybody, but the BCA, in order to, it's very difficult to weigh the loss versus the benefit or the cost. And so it's not a matter of, you have to kind of fit it into the mold. And part of the process that everyone on, say, Fulton Beach Road is the project that was not basically the benefit cost analysis was we had to meet the loss versus the expense versus the loss. We had to meet that in the calculation. But what as far as the project type and how we chose to do that or how the federal government wanted it was based on various programs that they offer, and Living Shorelines is one of them. So we had to make it all work together.
I'm still just trying to get an understanding of when and how the public will have input into what the costs are and what the public preferences are before it's set in stone by the end of the BCA process.
I understand. At some point, the government who is lending us the money or giving us the grant will lay out the programs that they like.
So the public will never have any input because it's up to the government?
But there's various types of program, various types of shoreline resiliency that's available. And some of them work, the BCA works to find the numbers work, and some of them don't.
Right, how will the public have an input into
I do
that
not know
decision?
that answer for you.
When the benefit cost analysis document is produced, I think it's something you described as being 600 pages or so.
Yeah, at least 600.
May I have a copy as soon as it is
Go
officially?
through the process and we'll get you a copy.
Can I have a process without going? Can I have a copy without going through a Public Information Act process, like a member of the public?
That's a question somebody else will have to answer.
The last time I tried for one of those, after waiting for 8 weeks, I was told that the county attorney's office couldn't understand what I was asking for, and therefore my request was turned down. That's why I want to make it clear today what I'm asking for, make sure there's no doubt about the document that I'm seeking, and I don't want to have to wait through an 8-week public information process. I just want a copy of the document as soon as it's completed in your hands.
Okay, sir.
May I have that?
The problem with your prior requests has been that they do not follow the law. I know that you think that you're an open records request person or expert, you said in the past, but we will produce information pursuant to the law.
This is
And
what
the
I'm
law
trying
is
to
there for
avoid.
everybody.
Everybody knows what I'm asking for.
And it depends upon the quality of the request as well.
Is there
So-
something wrong with the quality of the request I'm making today? Does everybody understand the document that I'm asking for?
It is not in writing, number one, but number two, until you see the documents and you apply 38 exceptions under the law to protect Aransas County.
So I can
that
expect the
information
same
will
delay
have to
this
be
time.
sifted
Why
through
should
and
a
then-
commissioner have to follow
Exactly.
information? I mean, I can
That's a good
understand
question.
if the information is not allowed to be made public.
Right. So a commissioner is no different than the public, believe it or not. So that information has to be requested in the same manner.
Okay.
Then my vote today has to be a no, and my vote on all public grant application questions from now on has to be a no until I can be sure that I'll get the documents I need to know to understand what I'm approving. There's no
Kat
excuse for
Como,
this.
May I make a suggestion? And I would love to, I think a lot of the questions could be answered by possibly having a Zoom meeting or a meeting where we look at the BCA toolkit FEMA has put out. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and it conveys the complexity of the question and why the data is, it's hard to summarize, but it might help with the public understanding as far as what information goes into it, as far as what public input can be considered and where that line of public input is not applicable. I would love to ask our Tetra Tech contractor for assistance, but if not, I would be happy to anyway walk the commissioners or any of the schedule of Zoom. But it's such a complicated process that it might help to see some of the data in the FEMA format that as they look at it.
I think that's an excellent, that's an excellent idea to express.
Tech is on the Zoom meeting, I believe. Gina, do you have anything to add to it? Evidently, she's not.
That was a good suggestion to address my first issue, which was the question of public input, but it does not address the fact that I'm apparently being denied copies of documents that we're talking about authorizing the creation of.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it'd be good. We've run into this BCA quite often on all the grants and everything. I think it'd be good to have a workshop scheduled to talk about that with maybe some examples of things that are public now. So we can kind of get a feel for what that is. I don't think everybody needs an 800-page thing, but I think we ought to have a workshop on it because it's a major component of all grants.
Okay, Kat, can you look into that?
John,
yes, sir.
One quick.
Closer to your mic.
One quick question. When this grant was applied for the Little Bay restoration,
Yes.
that occurred back, 2017, 2018, 2018. Well, I wasn't on the court at that time, but I would imagine that the requesting of that was done by the county at somebody's request.
The BCA?
Yeah.
The original BCA was prepared by Tetra Tech, but it was prepared, they were a subcontractor at that time for FEMA, and they prepared the original BCA for us.
Well, what I'm saying though is that this grant, the public input section of it, how did the grant come about?
The grant was, we had a hazardous mitigation, when we had a plan, we had a hazard mitigation plan. This project, and along with 5 other projects, were submitted into the plan and approved.
Okay, but the idea of going and having a Little Bay restoration, where did that particular idea?
Oh, that came out of we have 5 years ago, the judge and all the other jurisdictions formed the Shoreline Resiliency Committee.
Okay.
That formulated 10 projects for the purposes of going for grants, mostly the Restore Act grants. We have one grant that we've gotten from the Restore Act.
At that time, John, I'm testing your memory here.
Go ahead.
Was there public outreach at that time?
Yes,
for
and
comments?
the meetings were open to the public.
That's what I would have imagined. I don't
Yes.
think we even got to first base if we didn't do
Right.
that. It's one of the requirements.
What actually happened though on this grant, it kind of stemmed from that long-term recovery initially started an application for this, and then I believe the NAV district decided they wanted to go it on their own. And so unbeknownst to us, we both applied, but we were the one that was approved.
No, not at all. What it is when the hazardous mitigation plan was adopted, the navigation district did not participate. So when after Harvey, we took all of our resiliency projects and we put them into the hazard mitigation plan. There was 10 projects. 5 of them got selected to go from the initial preliminary, which they call a NOE, to go into a more detailed review. And then 3 of the shoreline projects were awarded almost within 6 months. But Little Bay and Cove Harbor lingered on, and Little Bay was a long battle for us to get to that approval point. And it took a lot of finagling to get.
And then Navigation District joined the mitigation.
They got annexed into the hazardous mitigation plan. But at this point, we were moving this project along on their behalf.
Will the NAV district have any input into the benefit cost analysis process?
Not only that, it's
They
provided
data
Go ahead, William.
that was requested. Go ahead, William.
Yeah, the navigation district provided us data that was requested as part of the formula that is part of the BCA process. So they provided input, things like vegetation numbers and things like that. These are all, like Kat said, I mean, there's algorithms and all kinds of data. It's just in fact, the files were so large, they couldn't be emailed. They had to be put on a flash drive and hand delivered to FEMA. So these are quite voluminous, complex data calculations, and they're all designed to prove one thing. For every dollar that the federal government invests, it needs to show that there is more than $1 back in benefit. And that's what the BCA is.
Will the NAV district be provided with a copy of the benefit cost analysis when it is completed and submitted to the county?
Sure.
But not me.
And
this is
John, is there, in the preparing of this document, is there planning, engineering work that is done to plan what the project is going to be, what it's going to do?
Well, why we're doing it at this point is because what we're evaluating in Little Bay is circulation.
Right.
How to move water in and out of the bay in a more efficient manner. So as engineering goes along and they've already done all their data collection. Now they're going to start doing their different scenarios and scenarios and how to make the water move better, whether it's a third inlet or things like that. That way they can do the BCA as they're going along with their different options. And that's why we're doing it now. So they can evaluate it and make sure that if they pick a path, that it'll meet the BCA code. BCA rating.
Will the NAV district be required to pursue a Public Information Act request in order to get the benefit cost analysis when it's completed?
There is an exception under the Open Records Act, but that is not necessary.
So I can just get it from them.
I
You could
think
know,
also
you
there
cannot.
was a memorandum of understanding between the county and the NAV district as to what our rules are.
Right.
That was passed early on.
Right, it's been passed for months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I may judge.
Today, we're trying to get Little Bay fixed.
Pardon me?
If I may judge, the BCA is nothing more than a mathematical analytical tool. It's the options that needs to be discussed with the public, and they will be as part of the process. So the actual BCA is nothing more than a huge calculation that shows the benefit of whatever option is being tested under that tool. So this will all get vetted. It's the BCA is not really the issue. It's the options that are presented, and they will all be thoroughly vetted with the public and discussed.
When and how will that happen?
When we get to that part of the process, when we get to that part of the study.
Can you give me a timeline and a description of how the public will be involved?
No.
No?
I don't.
I think it would be a good idea that if we get Tetra in here, I mean, I'm kind of with Commissioner Lawbuck that I would like to know the process from somebody who I feel more, confident that know all the questions that we might have for it. I mean, I'd like to, I don't mind approving to get started on it, but in that process, I would like to see him come in here.
Get Tetra Tech to come in and tell us
Go.
more about
Sure.
it.
Tell us
I'll talk to them.
Answer the commissioner's questions.
Sure.
We can do that.
We have a Tetra Tech representative on the phone right now, I think.
Well, we're supposed to, but I don't, is she on there? Gina?
I am on. Good morning, everyone. I am listening intently. Unfortunately, I am not the staff person who leads up benefit cost analyses and really can't provide much insight for you, but I'm taking notes, as is the county staff, and we'll get back to the person who is responsible with responses to your questions. Apologies, folks.
Possibly in the near future, someone can come over and explain to the Commissioner's Court and the public the questions that have been asked.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you hear me? Okay. All right. In that case, we have a motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm still a no.
One against. Discuss, approve, disapprove amendment to the resolution R39 2020 authorizing the submission of the community development block grant mitigation application to the Texas General Land Office.
Good morning. So what I'm going to speak to, I can speak to each of these items. They're all related. Number 16 through number 19 are all related to our CDBG mitigation application. Since we are talking about public dialogue about various projects, I'd like to address that as an overview before we go into this particular discussion. At the Commissioner's Court request, we have a public hearing scheduled for the CDBG projects and input on those projects on the 19th of this month. In regard to information that's available on these projects, let me offer this. We have, you can look up all of the projects on the website. There's a link under public notices, and then you can look at each of the individual project information. There's information on low mod income that's served, project maps, project descriptions, detailed cost estimates. You can also find the same information in hard copy at the judge's office. You can also see the citizen participation plan that we have on the website under the same link, as well as the notebook in the judge's office. In last Saturday's newspaper, we published for the public hearing, which again is on the 19th at 9 o'clock. There's extensive information about the projects in that particular notice, and that was published in 3 different regional newspapers. Let's see, we also did a public notice in the newspaper previously, which is also available to the public. Any documentation for approval has been in the court packets, memorandums of understanding and interlocals and resolutions approving those. The original resolution was in the court packets and also the amendments that were made. There is a project checklist of items that we will be providing through our grant application. Happy to provide that. It's just a checklist, and that is underway right now. Most of those things are federal type requirements, giving information about prior auditing, prior grant experience, and various types of information that the federal government likes to see. We also have done numerous public PowerPoints on all of these projects to date. I believe it's done at least 3 times. That's the summary of all the information that you have. The first item, number 16, is a amendment. We have already approved this resolution authorizing submission of the grant application. There's only one reason why we're doing the amendment, and that is as we started negotiating with Nueces County, they were very specific that they wanted to have a separate agreement than with our other interlocal agreements, because they want to make sure that they are not part of the grant application. They have their own application, that they want to ensure the integrity of that and that it's not competing against this. And as such, what they have done, requested, and we've addressed it, is Nueces County will be providing a separate $25,000 contribution to the project for connecting to their POP. And so in this particular, their point of presence for making the full connectivity from Victoria down to the bridge. And so originally our matching funds showed that Aransas County was contributing approximately $288,000. So what this does is it amends that, increases it by $25,000 to the $313,000, and then makes a note that we're going to be receiving a separate payment by Nueces County. And what you'll see through the flow of the rest of the items that we have is just fulfilling what I just described, which is that minor change as it relates to how we're structuring our relationship with Nueces County.
Kim, in this item, we're only talking about the fiber loop.
This item actually has all of our projects in it. And then some of the other ones, though, the number 17 and 18 are specific to the fiber optic loop. And number 19 is as well. So this one is our overall one that you've already passed that says, yes, we're applying for these applications, and we're committing the 1% funding. And the only difference here from what you passed before is that we're designating the $25,000 from Nueces. It is not, they are not an applicant. They are a partner cooperating with us in order to have this project, and they are still making the same financial contribution as before.
And where is the money coming? Is the 1% part of the stuff that's on the bond elect?
No.
We did. I think Kim gave us a summary of the sources of the matching funds for all 4 of these projects. The first one, the fiber optic loop, the matching funds would be provided by the administrative fee we were going to receive. On the $21 million Ruby Allen drainage project, I think it was coming from a drainage bond, and the other 2, the $4.3 million Fulton Beach Road shoreline restoration and the $6.3 million Newcomb Bend shoreline restoration project. It was an open question where we were going to get the money, but you were hunting under maybe Go Mesa funds, and the total was about $80,000.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. And we covered that at the last meeting.
So the last two items on there, the 63 and the 54, they're coming from where?
Those are still outstanding, as she's indicating. We're looking at the Go Mesa Fund, just normal reserves, and or if it's eligible for our normal drainage funding.
We don't have that funding lined up at this point in time.
It's not specifically targeted.
Well, if we're going to submit this to the DLO, does that bind us?
You are bound when it gets funded, and all of these projects are not going to get funded.
Okay, fair enough.
Move to approve number 16.
Make a motion to approve item 16. Motion made, seconded. All those in
Before we vote, I want to just explain, I didn't have a problem with this substantively when it came up 2 weeks ago. But today I'm going to be voting no and against any grant application unless I can receive a commitment that I will receive a copy of the grant application in full when filed, not subject to 2 months of delay and not subject to either stonewalling or denial by the county attorney on the ground that she does not understand the document I'm requesting.
That was apparent.
And I will continue to make that statement every time we come up for a vote.
Statement before we vote.
Not a statement exactly, just a question. First, I'm glad to see a public hearing was scheduled because I know that wasn't required, but I appreciate the court making that effort. However, I would like to suggest in the future, public hearings might be scheduled, say at 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. rather than 9 a.m. I think the attendance and participation would vastly improve. Second, I know Kim said that the project checklist will be available. She could just give an idea of where that might be available. And then she mentioned that there were 3 regional newspapers, and I just wondered if she might cite which newspapers those were. And then that numerous PowerPoints have been done. And I was just curious, have they been done and presented? Or have they been created and then they're available for us to view? Okay, thank you.
The 3 newspapers are the Caller Times, the Rockport Pilot, and the Victoria Advocate. All of those are ones that are affected in the region by the fiber optic project. In regard to the PowerPoints, those have all been officially made at the Commissioners Court meeting in a public session. In a public session, a regular meeting like this.
In the public notice that was filed in the pilot, there's an email address you can use to receive copies of information and get answers to questions.
Call a vote.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
No.
4 for and 1 against.
On item number 17, Judge, I would make a motion to approve 17.
Motion made. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
No.
4 for and 1 against. 18.
I make a motion to approve 18.
Motion made. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
No.
4 for, 1 against. Discuss, approve, disapprove resolution R41 2020. Resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement between San Patricio County, Refugio County, Victoria County, and the city of Rockport, approving a separate memorandum of understanding agreement with Nueces County and authorizing the submission of intergovernmental agreements and memorandums of understanding to the General Land Office as part of the Community Development Block Grant Mitigation application for the proposed fiber optic loop.
A motion to approve. Judge.
Motion made. Second. All
I have
those
a
in
question
favor?
on, I have a question on that one.
Okay.
Just as a matter of process, shouldn't this be 2 separate motions? One is to approve the partners and the other one is to approve the agreement with the 4th party. It just seems like, I mean, there's probably nothing wrong with it, but it seems like it's confusing to me.
What do you think, Kristen?
I would suggest San Pat, Refugio, and Victoria be handled as a motion, and then the authorization of the interlocal agreement with for the interlocal agreement, but that the agreement with Nueces County be separate, or with the city of Corpus Christi, Nueces County, whatever it is.
So you don't want them all in one resolution, you want
No,
to separate?
I think I'm just saying if we do this again, I think it needs. I'm in favor of more agenda items for clarity, than to lump a bunch of stuff together.
Okay.
So
I mean, we can do it either way.
But isn't this just a resolution that's explaining what's going on?
Yes, and I did want to clarify, all this does, the federal government likes to see resolutions. And so this number 19 actually just
okay,
puts an umbrella over your number 17 and 18, approving it.
Kim, is this the same agreement we talked about 2 weeks ago that was missing the section on indemnities and sharing of responsibility? Or is that a different?
That was number 17. Item number 17.
So did we ever fill in that information? I didn't, when I read through the documents over the weekend, I just didn't see a new section about indemnities and sharing.
It's just that same one big section. It's a pretty big paragraph. It's the second to the last paragraph. If you want to pull that one up, or I can go.
Okay, so the information that was missing 2 weeks ago has now been added.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, and has been approved by 5 attorneys. But this is just an umbrella resolution that just is basically what the federal government likes to see for agreements that you enter into. And it's for items number 17 and 18.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
No.
4 for, 1 against. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorize the county judge to sign a e-sign Walgreens Community Offsite Clinic Agreement covering the administrative immunization at the county courthouse for employees. This year's annual health fair has been canceled because of COVID-19, but Walgreens will still administer immunization on October 23rd.
Motion to
Move to
approve,
approve.
Joe.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, paying the immunization administration administered by Walgreens Offsite Clinic October 23rd for employees not covered by health insurance. An estimated cost of $1,500. It's already been budgeted.
Motion to approve, Joe.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Discuss, approve, disapprove, authorize the county judge to execute master agreement with ACI Payments, Inc. Official payments for use of their credit card portal to accept payments for many county departments pending final approval of contract in county attorney's office. Kansas County already uses the credit card portal, but we don't have a contract.
Motion to approve, Joe.
Motion made.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Actually, official payments is a credit card portal where, through the JP courts, county clerk, district clerk, the citizens can make payments on their fines, fees, whatever.
Okay.
And so we've been with them for many years, not under a contract. The only contract is the tax office. Simply because I, as the treasurer's office, want to get an account established, they are requiring that we now do a contract. Nothing is earth-shattering on the contract. Actually, I got the fees that the people using the portal is actually going to be reduced a little. But the reason that the treasurer's office needs this account is for the hotel motel people that are wanting to pay with credit card or through their banking.
Well, Alma, in this, is the credit card fee charged to the person using it or to the county?
There's no fees incurred to the county whatsoever, so the person using it pays the fees.
Added on.
Right now, it's $5.95 to make a payment. I've got that reduced to either $4.95 or $3.95, and then the hotel motel part could be based on a percent if they use a credit card, or a $2.95 fee if they put in their bank account information. And so Colin and I have been working really hard to get the form filing electronically, but we need the payment to come with it. So hopefully we can get there.
Great. Thank you. Jack? All right, discuss, disapprove new job description for jailer transportation deputy at the group 19. This is not great. Oh, yeah, I did skip that. Well, thanks. All right, let's go back up to indigent healthcare. I'm sorry, Alma, that's why you're still standing.
So for the month of September, the expenditures was $25,759.53. We're starting the new fiscal year 2021 year. I don't know if during the budget workshops, we came up with the 8% mandated, which is $818,000 dollars to spend. So like I said, this is the first month of the new fiscal year.
Make a motion to approve the report, Judge.
Motion made and seconded.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Now, to discuss, approve, disapprove, new job description for jailer transportation deputy at Group 19. This is not creating a new position, just modifying the current jailer position, no new money.
It's a housekeeping issue. We utilized a position 10 or 12 years ago when we moved officers from patrol to detention center and used them for transport officers, primarily on out-of-state deals to help Matt. But it allows us to keep officers that might not meet qualifications on our physical agility once a year and gives them a chance to work their way back into the patrol group. We haven't utilized it in 5 or 6 years, and when we got ready to put somebody in there the other day, we discovered there was not a job description for peace officer in the detention center, but no new money, and it's something we've used before, and we just needed to clean that up with some housekeeping.
And why did you find it necessary to have a separate position? I missed that explanation.
We have peace officers occasionally in the jail. We've got detention officers that are licensed peace officers.
Okay.
And we pay them for that license to where we can utilize them if we need. But we have officers over the years that we have reassigned, mostly because of the physical agility test annually that comes out. In order to qualify to patrol and work overtime, you have to meet that standard. But it gives them an opportunity to remain employed, utilize their license to transport officers, and work their way back in patrol if they'd like to. But again, we have some detention officers who are retired peace officers, but they do have the authority to transport with a weapon and have arrest authority. So we had 2 positions before that paid at a patrol officer salary.
Serious, it must be a licensed peace officer.
Yes, sir, in that position.
You just didn't.
We haven't had the
You
need.
Job, just not the description.
They say we didn't have a job description on file in the detention center, but we've utilized it several times, probably 8 years ago, like 7 or 8 years ago.
Is this one budgeted separately?
No, sir. It's all a part of the payroll budget.
But we can realign the budgeted salary dollars.
Okay. And there is no new money in this.
Right.
No, sir.
All right. Make a motion to approve. Judge.
Motion made, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Budget line item transfer, we know what that is. Right?
Move to approve.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All those in favor? Accounts, payroll and payroll liabilities,
All normal.
all normal.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Jackie is on Zoom if you have questions.
Hey, Jackie, you still out there running around the block?
Why is Jackie on Zoom?
She had an operation.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Well, I hope everything's going all right.
Anyway, she's here and she called me Wednesday saying she's ready to work. She was operated on Monday, so.
Wow.
All right.
So do we ever people quite voted?
Motion made
Second.
and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Fees and, got any fees?
No, sir.
No. All right, at this time, any elected official or department head have anything to report?
I did have a question for Alma Cartwright. I got a copy of this analysis of both our venue tax fund and our hot fund. I'm having trouble understanding it because we got a fund balance as of September 30th, but we're deducting out remaining budgeted collections because we're over budget already. Why would we do that? If we're coming down to a projected balance at the end of the year.
I don't think it's subtracting it from it, is it?
It is subtracting. I've gone through the math.
Well, I do know that we are over the budget, but in fact, our collections for August was the best we've ever had for August rentals.
My suggestion, when you get in a situation like this, we got 3 months left. This use last year's collections for those 3 months. Because what it does, it makes a significant difference right here. The projected balance on the venue tax fund was 100,000. If you do it the way I'm suggesting, it's 238,000.
Okay, I apologize.
When it goes from 566 to 729,000. So I just think somebody there's got the numbers wrong backwards.
I apologize.
All right.
That being
By the way,
said,
both those funds are in great shape
yeah,
for now.
there's nothing else.
I'd like for us to go into closed session for one of the items that are on the reasons to be able to go in.
Okay. That being said, we'll be going into closed session. Which
For a personnel move. If it's not on the agenda.
no, it's all right. We can, never mind.
We got personnel matters on there.
There's no agenda item dealing with presumably county clerk's office. SNAFU.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made, second. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Aye.
Thank you.